We decided one daily segment wasn't enough for Bill Bush and Bill's Thrills, so we turned it into a week-long podcast recap. Here's Bill's Thrills Rewrapped, sponsored by Acres Equipment on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Today, it is a Football Facts Monday. Bill, what is on your mind today?
Well, me and Jake discussed this and when we can handle this, but as you guys knew, the Army-Navy game is sacred to me. Mm-hmm. It's one of the most incredible games. Me and my dad talked before the game, make sure we're all prepared to be watching.
Ron.
Oh, God, it was so good. It was so good. It was better times. Army.
Was it better times?
It was better times, yes. It was. There was a time, if there was a bad pitch by Navy, which got them out of they weren't able to get a first down. If they would have got a first down, Navy would have had the ball twice in the first quarter, and Army had it once. I mean, that's the pace. I mean, like I told you, hour and 45 minutes. This game's over. Now, it went a lot longer just for TV reasons like that. But the power of preparation, the power of intel, the power of preparation, the power of intel, full knowledge of your opponent when things are somewhat balanced, and that was a somewhat balanced game. Army being 11-1 at the time, and the AAC champions. Mm-hmm. Navy being 8-3.
Okay, two good teams.
Yep. Coach Monken, quote, "If we don't beat Navy, the season is a failure. If we don't beat Navy..."
Army.
What's that?
He's an Army coach?
Yes, the Army
That's
coach,
correct,
yes. If we don't beat Navy, the season's a failure. They were the AAC champions. They played the Friday before, and they just stomped Tulane. The place was going nuts. When they went out I believe it was the coin flip, mm-hmm. All the Army cadets had on their backs AAC champs.
No kidding.
Was on their backs.
I can see that. Wow.
So it was a
whoa.
big.
Wait a second. Seriously?
Yeah, they went out there with the AAC champs, and their place is going nuts. So what I want to talk about.
I got the chills right now.
Yeah, right there. When I talk about, I said on the banks of the Hudson, they won it all. But let's talk about this. How important is intel? So while they're getting prepared for Tulane, what was Navy doing?
Preparing for Army.
They were getting ready for Army. So that whole week, all they did was Army, 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 Army. Then they watched them play against Tulane. So now the schemes are different, especially defensively. What Army had to do to stop Tulane compared to what Army had to do to stop Navy. So it was a completely different time. So you just go back and you just say, what was the extra game? What they're conference champions, and their head coach said, doesn't matter. If we don't beat Navy, the season's a failure.
Monken.
Navy's season now is a complete win. I mean, a complete win. Now they've beat Army, and so they are. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah.
I see where you're going.
So Navy and Army are probably the one place that would not trade a conference championship for the win over Army or Navy.
Oh, so that's a rough loss for Army is what we're getting.
Yeah, we finally got that. All right, there you go. Finally came together for you.
Monken said the season's a failure if they lost the game, even though they were AAC champs.
They won 11.
But they lost the game that mattered.
Come on, Monken, it's not a failure.
But I'm telling you, that's what. And then if you looked at the game, so going into it, Bryson Daly, everyone felt should have been sent to the Heisman. Should have been sent to the Heisman. Should have been sent to the Heisman. Like 11 point something per completion. I think Jake, his numbers were ridiculous. And I'm not going to say he, but if you said it's not personal 1-on-1, but the quarterback and make sure I say Blake's name right, because I kind of
Horvath.
Yep. He outplayed him so bad. He outplayed him so bad. Like the names of the quarterbacks. Horvath had. Think about this. Is Navy's quarterback going to carry the ball? Yes. He carried it for 200. He carried it for 200 yards.
Big dude?
Big. Yeah, kind of thick guy. He made some plays. He made some runs. And then up 8 late in the game, they, being Navy, called a fake punt. They called a fake punt to a D lineman, and he hits it for about 50 yards. Now, here's the incredible play. He gets hit late, and he fumbles off the big run. And a Navy player is hustling, and he recovers it.
Okay.
They go in and score. And it was, like I said, but it goes back to the time that was spent when things are fairly even. That was an 8-3 Navy team. That's a good team. Could you imagine the time they put in on Army? They do it all year long, every day. It's beat Army. It's go Navy, beat Army. Go Army, beat Navy. That's all you care about. Well, the week before, What was Navy? What was Army doing?
Army had to play Tulane.
Had to play Tulane.
Yeah.
A completely different
Interesting.
game.
They blew them out.
So you think that was advantage Navy?
Absolutely, it was advantage Navy because things were even enough.
Right.
It's not when you say, okay, I'm going to give Rice 2 weeks to get ready for Texas. Well, it's not even. It's still not quite the same like that with what's going to happen. But this was even, everything on the line, and Navy outplayed them. Just outplayed them in every aspect.
Good Navy team.
Really good Navy team.
They're 9-3.
9-3.
Yeah, and they made their season. I'm surprised Monken would say that.
And I think why? But if someone asked you, you would answer that.
Oh, I know. I'm not really criticizing him. I'm just sort of surprised. It's interesting.
But there were so many little things that happened. I mean, there was a missed tackle that led to a 50-yard touchdown pass. That's what changed the game. And it was an interesting play, Steve. They're in kind of a condensed split, kind of a wing set. Navy is, and they throw just a speed out. Well, on the play, the corner was off. And on the play, he accelerated his back pedal immediately to create all kinds of space. Didn't have to do that. Could have just, I use the term scooch to blend, which means I scooch out slow or I walk out. So when they throw the ball, you drive tackle, it's a 7 or 8 yard gain. Instead, there was all the space. He missed the tackle, and the guy just runs 50 yards for a touchdown.
So it was like
just a speed out. And he missed the tackle, and he runs for a touchdown. Because people always say, well, where was this guy? Where was this guy to help him out? It's 11-on-11 football every single snap because both sides run the quarterback.
it's trouble.
And so
Better tackle well in space, right?
Yeah, and so the flex bone barely showed up. The flex bone, which is like the double wing motion, true under center, fullback dive, dive, read, keep, all that stuff wasn't quite there. It's more of a wing T type of an offense. And wow, did Navy look good. But the battle of intel was so good that Navy knew everything. They were like, those guys didn't think that. I guarantee you, and they get a chance to sit and watch the game on TV, and they watch this, and all of a sudden, you're pretty excited if you're Army. You're 11-1 and you're AAC champions, and you're coming into this game.
They're ranked coming in.
Oh yeah,
22nd.
ranked. Yeah,
And that was at Army.
what's that?
Yes, at Army.
This game, Army Navy, this was in Washington D.C. where the Commanders play. Where the Commanders play. The game before
neutral.
The game before, it's always
The game
neutral.
before-
The game
the
before
Tulane game was at Army.
Okay.
The game before
Bill
was
mentioned that Horvath outplayed Bryson Daly. He did. Horvath passing 4 of 9. He did the long touchdown, two touchdowns, no picks. 25 carries, 204 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bryson Daly, who again had an amazing season, 29 rushing touchdowns this year. Was just 7 of 16 passing with 3 picks.
3 picks.
Also rushing only 19 carries, 52 yards, no touchdown.
There was a big push from a lot of pundits to have the quarterback Bryson to be at the Heisman Trophy. Knew he wasn't going to win it, but should have been there. And there was talk about if he makes it, do they helicopter him from D.C. to New York City to get him at that? Imagine if he did.
Oh,
and had to get helicoptered there, and he just lost the game and threw 3 picks. It'd be cool to get him there on that. But
is he that good
at that type of game? He's a really good player. He's a really good player. So this is nothing. It's just about Navy outprepared him. Navy outprepared him, and Navy outplayed him in a game. So they get So they get 365 now. They get it for 365.
Monken,
and then Army. They come off the deal, and that's when the whole thing went down, almost like during the game. Oh, by the way, Army has no one to play in the bowl game. They have no one to play because that's who.
Oh, now they do.
Yeah, now they do.
Marshall's out.
But
Marshall's out.
That would have been a bummer.
Yeah, so now somebody sitting there going, you're like La Tech going, okay, now I got to try to stop Army, do all this stuff, get the team together. We haven't been working on it.
Very interesting. Thank you, Bill. Yeah. How was that? Was it loud?
It appeared. I mean, the crowd looks incredible. Everything about it, the pure pageantry of everything. Then at the end, when they sing the alma mater, both sides sing. It's chilling to just see that. That was really, really cool. The respect.
God, I gotta check that out before I pass.
Maybe next year.
Yeah,
maybe next year.
Yeah, I do. I need to look at that.
That would be the game to be able to
it's
go
on
to.
TV. Can't miss it.
Yeah.
Only game going on.
You didn't watch any of it. That shocks me.
What was I doing? It seems like I was doing.
If you're writing,
it was on for 3.5 hours Saturday afternoon. Right in the middle of the day.
2 o'clock.
Yeah, right in the middle of the day.
Well, I got filled in on it. Thank you.
That is Bill's Thrills. When we come back, hour 2, some portal update next on Early Break on the Ticket. It is a Bugaboo Tuesday. Bill, what is bothering you on
Things
this
that bother me.
Tuesday
I need
morning?
to ask the stool a question.
Okay,
you both
Bill,
to answer.
We're here.
Is it okay if I go back in time, but then also I've never done this before. I always talk to Jake about a potential repeat. This is something that I have hit on before.
Okay.
Is it okay if I revisit that?
A repeat revisit.
Because it's a repeat. It's a little different, but it's a repeat. I need to get the thumbs up from Jake if he thinks it's okay to be able to do that, to be able to get this.
He literally gave you a thumbs
Because
up.
I think this was start that. How about this one? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't just get me a Lexus outside and a big bow on it.
Oh,
and
this one.
No, you didn't.
This is a bugaboo.
Oh yeah. Oh, is that a $200,000 truck crashing through the snow? Oh, and you have a puppy? Oh, and there's a puppy? Oh yeah, that's a 15-year commitment. Oh no, yeah, we have a puppy. You got to get up at 4 a.m. No, we have puppies and giant bows on like $400,000 cars. That's Christmas. That's how I grew up. I know. That's what I remember. Driving around Penn and be like, oh my, look at that. Oh, they got a big bow on.
There's a $50,000 truck that just whipped through that big wall of snow.
Oh man, these commercials, I want to just lose my mind. And she looks at him like, "Can you believe we did it?" Yeah, that's awesome. That's
a happy
awesome.
little couple.
Yeah, they're in Vail, usually up in Vail in the mountains, somewhere in Breckenridge or something.
This throws you for a loop.
Oh man, is it throwing me for a loop? That is, talk about a bugaboo when that commercial comes. There's several of them, but that's the one.
I can't wait to see.
Is that a Lexus in the front out there
with a big bow?
Honey, you did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I'm gonna get my baby a Lexus.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time thinking through, making sure. Yeah.
The camera crew over here.
The camera crew over here.
Make sure they're on time too.
They're on time. Oh man.
You don't think that's real world stuff?
It's not real world to me, and it really bothers me.
It didn't happen in Penn.
Didn't happen in Penn. Or driving around going like, look at that. Oh my, they got Cadillacs down that street. A bunch of got bows on them.
It's real dusty though. It's kind of dirty in the background.
This didn't happen in my world.
It's not polished up.
Did this happen in your world, Jake?
Doesn't happen in Manawa.
It didn't happen in Manawa. I'm over Manawa.
A little different setting up there.
Hey, got you a nice used truck there. And I'm okay with that.
It's really
some guy's
used
got
too.
a used truck in Mankato. I'm going to come up and get it.
Decatur's got a bunch of really nice stuff. Buzz up the I-29 and pick it up.
Jake, what do you think of this?
I'm with you on this. It is ridiculous that people just think this happens. It doesn't happen. It's not real life. It's not real life.
It's like a Hallmark, and they have the puppy too. Right. They also have the puppy because you and me both know puppies aren't much work. No, up every 2 hours all night. Yeah, that's nothing. No, the puppy they have doesn't. It sleeps all night and just.
You don't like this, do you?
No, I don't.
It's a Hallmark movie, but it's a.
I just want to know who's watching that, going like, you know what? Son of a gun, Lisa deserves a Lexus. With the big bow. With the big bow.
You got to get a big bow.
When you go to
Son of a gun.
When you go to the car dealership, you ask them, do you have the big bow?
Have the big bow.
Oh yeah, I want to make sure when she wakes up that it's out there and she sees the bow.
That's what's really selling me is the big bow.
Oh.
The car is great, but the bow.
If I drove by someone's house and that was going on, I would lose it. I'd honk at it.
It's not going to happen, so don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sanderson on the text line says the puppy and the truck just showing up in the middle of a snowy field after one whistle makes me physically angry.
Yes, it does. It does. It did that to me last night. I physically was like I was ill.
Come on, it's just a commercial.
No, it bothered me that much.
Greg in Tilton says Bill had a 76 brown Ford Pinto with a dented passenger door and a bow.
Yes, and a bow. Yeah,
You had a Camaro.
Had a Camaro, 74 Camaro.
74 Camaro.
And the exhaust came through the floorboard because the exhaust system was jacked up, but no rim. But I didn't have big tires, nor did I have rims. So I just had hubcaps.
I always thought it was funny when I see a jacked up car that had the normal tires.
Why?
Why?
And rear drive, whatever you want to call it, that
Rear wheel drive.
Yeah, can you imagine the traction that got jacked up with air shocks? You just air shock. So you hit a bump. All night long you're driving. Just hit any button, and it would just
Any bump at all.
and then just inhaling and fumes just roll. And also remember, don't forget the gas gauge didn't work. All of a sudden,
those fumes might still be affecting you.
Yeah,
I wonder about that.
could be. Anyway, that's
I like that bugaboo.
things that bother
I
me.
like that bugaboo. You can bring that back again next year.
Please
too.
do make that a yearly occurrence. I like that because it matters every year.
It matters
I
every
want
year.
to see one of those commercials.
I saw a bunch of them last night.
Back to more of Bill's Thrills Rewrapped. Sponsored by Acres Equipment on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Bill, it is a Wild Card Wednesday, so I am very curious where you're going with this today.
Well, I went on a little bit of a different thought. It's football.
Okay.
Football.
Okay.
And we talk about this a lot. So what is it when there's all this today we've talked a lot about just the strife that's going on in college football. There's a pretty cool model to follow.
Okay.
And I think that would be the NFL. That would be a model that is well established. So the one thing that has to happen, like real simple, it just follow the NFL model to get the NIL under control. What has to happen? There has to be collective bargaining.
Right.
There has to be contracts. There has to be contracts where you know what the numbers are, because that's all you hear about is random numbers. You don't know. Everything is different. You have no idea. No one has any clue. So there's a very clear path to what you have to get done. And if you don't collective bargain, both sides come to an agreement between the two. Now it's hard because you have to collective bargain every year. That's the difference. But it makes it difficult. But there's a model. Okay. Is there any form of a tournament that happens sometimes in March that might be a model you might build a model after?
I think there is. It involves a lot of
March Madness. Do you think the NCAA tournament has kind of been working through some things for the last 80 years of trying to figure out whatever it's been, figuring this tournament out?
Yes.
And maybe you just might want to talk to them, but they didn't. They didn't. College football went on their own, and they just said, okay, we're going to have our own 12-team tournament. We're going to have 4 byes. We're going to get this set up. And they completely messed it up. I mean, there is no way that the 10th ranked team should be the 3rd ranked team and get a bye. And so they didn't take it, and they did not put them in order, and that jacks up everyone else that has earned those rights to be in those spots. Yes, Boise State earned the right to be in the playoffs, but to be a 3 seed and have a bye, and now you have a Penn State playing SMU at home, and then their next game is against Boise, which obviously Boise's still good enough to win it. Not saying that's impossible. But you have a Oregon who their next game they have a bye, then they're playing the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee, and so I just don't feel that was done the right way with how things should be seeded. It should be real simple. I'll give you an example. Last year, Nebraska had what was their seed, Jake? I think they were a 8 or 9 seed, right? In the NCAA
Nebraska was a 9 seed last year, correct?
It was a 9 seed.
Yep.
If they would have won the Big Ten tournament, would they have automatically become a 1 seed?
No, they would not have.
No. So that's my point.
That's a good point.
The point is that you still have the right to be in and be in the tournament and have all the opportunities to still win it all, but to be granted where they ended up at. And I have a hard time believing that Arizona State shouldn't have been at that spot, at the 4 spot. But I believe it should be. What if the Big Ten and the SEC both had undefeated teams going into the conference championship games? If that would happen, there'd be a great chance with that maybe they all should be ones. Who wins it? Who finishes second should probably be all ones.
Why didn't we? Why? You know what the question I have, Bill? We didn't, and we're just as guilty as anybody else. Why didn't we question this going into it?
I agree. I didn't question it either.
I didn't either. I didn't
question it either.
But now, why didn't we question the notion of artificial seeds? Because that's what it is. It's artificial.
Yes.
It's not earned seeds. These are artificial seeds. Why didn't we say, well, this could be an issue? And I
think the biggest part, my hypothesis, Steve, is everybody felt it was going to be the 4 Power Fours, right? They were going to end up being that. So everybody's kind of like, okay, that makes sense, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't make sense. What if you had, like you said, what if you went through and let's just take for example Georgia. Okay. They won an incredible game against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech had them beat a couple times, but they didn't. Right. But that would have been their 3rd loss. Okay. Their 3rd loss in the season. Then they win the SEC, but they've got 3 losses. I don't know. Does that make them still a 1 seed? Potentially yes. But I just felt it should have been looked at. But to Steve's point, nobody in my mind. I'm sure someone did. I didn't. And just say this is being seeded wrong. But when they right now, as the committee sat there, if I'm correct, Boise State is 10th. That's how they had him ranked. They had him positioned as 10th, so the conference champion getting in, yes, to be a bye seed. I don't know about that one, and I don't think they got it right with this. I don't think there's anything right about having Boise State that played in the Mountain being a 3 seed.
No, and you can
I just looked now. Boise was ranked 9, but got the 3 seed.
Okay, they were
Ranked
9,
nine.
Bill. And the other way to look at this is when it's just in terms of flawed is Oregon. I mean, look at Oregon's path. They're the top seed, but they have a very difficult path, more difficult than the other teams. That just is a red flag, right? Why is that? You know?
Yeah, and they have a game that's late, but everybody right now, the people are going like, "Whew, Penn State, pretty nice." They play at home, you know. They play at home against SMU, and then they play Boise.
Right
now, could Boise beat them? Yes,
sure.
But they always say the body of work doesn't align for Boise to be a 3 seed.
No,
because or not. If it is, that means the committee is way off. They're way off base to have them at 9th.
Yeah,
and so and they're the ones that no matter if you agree or disagree, they're the ones calling the shots on who's who. And they say they're 9th, and they were 10th to 12th most of the year is where they were located at. And they also had a different situation in the championship game for them that they played it was home. You know, you go neutral in the Big Ten, you go neutral in the SEC. So you have a different. I believe Big 12 was neutral too. Am I correct on that? Isn't that wasn't that in Jerry's world? Am I correct on
that?
The
That is
Big
correct.
12?
Yes, it was. You're right.
For sure.
Correct.
Yeah, and so the Mountain West, they which I like it for attendance. They had a great crowd. When you watched that game, it was great. It really was, and so it was very interesting. But that's just one thing. I just think just go back historically and just look at the NCAA tournament, how they do it. NC State made an unbelievable run last year. They had to win the tournament.
That's right.
They had to win the ACC tournament to get in. They didn't become a 1 seed. That's not how it worked.
They were still an 11 seed. They were an 11 seed.
Still 11 seed. Yeah, they were still an 11
seed. The conference
seed. They won
champion.
the tournament. So anyway, just like I said, I think, and I believe it'll go away. But Steve nailed it. Not one time did anybody go, whoa, this is completely jacked up, until it actually happened. And I think right now, I'm sure the committee's like, whoa, I'm not sure about this, because they ranked them. There's nobody that can ever justify them being 9th and then being 3rd in the pairings.
right. But now on the bright side, we do have a playoff, and on the bright side, we're going to have Indiana playing Notre Dame on Friday, and it's going to be incredible. And then Saturday is going to be an incredible day of football.
Good days of football.
Yeah. So
can you imagine Tennessee at Ohio State?
Oh,
in the shoe?
I cannot wait for that game.
That's it. I think it's 7:00 on Saturday. That's can't miss TV. That's absolutely can't miss.
Got to watch it.
And they finally get a night game. Well, it's in late December, but they went 6 games in a row at either home or away at 11 a.m. kick. So
and that,
I'm sure
I would just love to remove my go to that game as just a observer, not as a journalist, not just
as a fan,
just as a fan.
Oh, dude.
And
you imagine what that's going to be like? There'll be some Tennessee fans that'll get in there,
Uh-huh.
and it is going to be, that energy will be ridiculous.
Well, it'll be odd energy, Bill. If Ohio State struggles, the energy will be strange. Like, that's a strange animal.
It just
Ohio
lost
State.
to Michigan at home.
One of the biggest storylines, hands down, even though the AD is like Ryan Day's our coach, if they go and they get beat 34-13 by Tennessee in the first round at home, and they just lost to a Michigan team
At 7-5
at home, 7-5 Michigan team, it will be beyond ugly.
Odd.
Ugly. So there's a storyline. There's a storyline with Indiana going to Notre Dame. There's a storyline with that. All these games. They're really good.
Oh, it's breathtaking. It's breathtaking.
Yeah.
It is.
And also while they screwed up the seeding, in my opinion, they did get it right with 4 home games. Okay. That is great. Then instead of going off-site for those games, those 4 home games, I can't imagine the excitement in those towns. Can you imagine right now if Nebraska was hosting Saturday night?
Yeah.
We have late December games in Penn State and Notre Dame.
Well,
and Ohio
we
State.
always talk
Cold-
about the
cold
weather.
schools.
We talk about the weather, but think about it right now in Lincoln. It would be great weather.
It's not bad at all.
It'd be great.
This
And
weekend,
none of these games are ridiculous. There's no, they're all like, it's a little chilly, but not bad. No.
if the game was here in Lincoln on Saturday, it'd be 38 degrees, which is not great, but there's no snow.
Perfect.
Not bad. It's not terrible. It's football weather.
That's perfect.
There's been way colder days than that in that
Absolutely.
stadium.
There have been.
All right, Bill, it's a Cool Parenting Tips Thursday. What you got for us?
Parenting tips. I think it might resonate with everyone. I'm kind of interested to see small town. You guys grew up in the big city of Columbus.
Yes.
I understand that. So I want to talk about something. The sweet treat of the glue street. The sweet treat of the glue street. Teach your kids how to ID, appreciate, and carry on the street glue tradition. Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas, potential Easter. The glue, when you drive around or out and about, there's certain houses that all of a sudden have 14 cars parked in front of them. And that's the glue to everything. You know that I'm talking about small town, about every 4 blocks you go. Ours was Grandma Blanche and Carl would be at their place. All of a sudden you drive around, you see it, all of a sudden there's no one there, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, there's 18 cars outside of this one house. Mm-mm. They're the glue. That house is the one that holds everyone together for Christmas Eve, Christmas, Thanksgiving. And if you don't recognize it, and once the glue is gone, well, you're in trouble. Once you've lost the glue, in small towns, it was about every 4 blocks. And all of a sudden, there'd be nothing, and it was so inviting.
And all of a sudden.
Also, it screamed, come on in. It screamed, everyone's here. People are back from school. People are visiting back. Oh, this is incredible. They're back for the week. They're back to see their mom and dad, and they're back here. That's how you identify the glue of the family.
The glue.
Who has that family that where everyone meets at? This is the spot. And you'll see it. It'll start here at Christmas. I saw it at Thanksgiving when I was out walking sugar. Also, it's like, there they are. They're the glue. That's the house. Also, there's 12 cars
in your
parked.
neighborhood.
There's 12 cars parked in front of it. Then there's another 18 houses, nothing in front of it because they're all at somebody else's place. You have to be able to teach your children how to identify the glue.
The glue.
And how important it is. And who is that? Who is that glue in your family? Who was it growing up? I mentioned who ours was. We had it.
Whose was yours?
What's that? Blanche and Carl. It was right there on
Blanche.
and there would be 14 cars parked outside. And also that's where people would stop in. They would just stop in to say hi because people were back. Now, my grandma, May and Rudy, did it also. That was usually at a different time to get everyone organized together. But they would have a giant gathering outside.
Okay.
But you'll see it on Christmas Eve. You'll see it on Christmas Day. You saw it on Thanksgiving.
The glue.
Appreciate the glue. That's the difference.
We're going through a glue transition right now in my family.
Okay, tell us about this.
Because my grandparents are getting a little bit older, and so they're not in the spot to host right now. They don't want to host anymore. So now it's getting passed down to other people, and we're trying to figure out who's going to be the full-time glue. We've tested out the glue going forward. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a big commitment.
It's a big deal. My grandparents hung in there until death. And basically they came down to like, still at our house, we're not doing anything. Basically, you had to show up, but you went to the same house. That was where everything went down at. But you have to build a house. Did you have the glue, Shafe?
Oh yeah, no. My mom's grandparents, Neely. We went to the farm every single Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter was spent at that farm in Neely. And then when it's gone, there is nothing that replaces.
Nothing. That's what I'm telling you. There is nothing.
So you have to, when you have it, you have to appreciate the hell.
That's the whole idea.
The point.
That's the point.
That's
because
the point.
when that's gone, how much would you like to go back to the farm?
Thinking about it right now.
Think about it right now. You can see that. You can probably see the lane, can't you? You can see pulling up. You can see what it's like walking into the house.
I mean, it's just, you can see the house. You can see the farm setting and everything going on. It's fantastic.
Is Ben anti-glue?
Yeah, Ben's anti-glue. I think he's anti-glue.
No, he's not anti-glue. Ben's full of glue.
He's full of glue. Ben's full of glue. He's very sticky. He's very
full
sticky.
Of glue. Here's some thoughts on the text line.
Thank you, Schaefer. That painted a picture.
We have a question.
Sorry to upset you, Ben.
We have a question. Bill, what do you think about rotating glue? Christmas at this place, Easter at that one, etc.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be a one. Yeah, because some places are growing up like this. We went to my Laura and Ed Crottavilles for Thanksgiving. They were Thanksgiving. They were never Christmas. So some are different on which
sorry,
one.
who was that?
What's
Crotterville?
Crotterville. Ed and Laura Crotterville. That was out on the farm between Pender and Bancroft.
Okay.
That's where you went for Thanksgiving. Then it transferred
Just
over.
roll
but,
out there.
But it was different on when it was and what was going on. That was always things transitioned. So having a different glue for a different event, 100%
Glue.
Like my parents are Christmas Eve. They're the glue of Christmas Eve.
Oh, they still are.
Still are to this day. They're almost 90.
Ron.
And they still and still everyone will be there at Christmas.
Ron
Eve.
and Sharon.
Ron, the Christmas Eve will still be at their house.
All right. Well,
What about
we
the
have
text line?
Lot
text line.
lot of more thoughts from the text line. Downtown Scott says some people don't have the glue.
Yeah.
Bird in Columbus, our glue. I love the fact that we categorize this as glue.
Glue. Elmer's
Bird in Columbus, or sorry, who, Bill? Bert. Thank you. Our glue had a big yard for football and wiffle ball.
Nice,
There you have
nice.
it. Corey and Lincoln, Ben, young, dumb, and full of glue. Somebody said, I would love to go back to the farm. I miss those fishing ponds.
Questionable.
Yeah.
Tommy says, my parents were the glue. They were part of the horse racing community and a lot of people who didn't have places to go on the holidays.
Where was
We'd
this?
have 20 people in our single wide house. Tommy said
Really?
that.
What-
said the parents were the glue.
But where was the horse racing community? Was it Columbus or was it Grand Island?
I
Doesn't
wonder
say.
where that was.
I wonder where
Doesn't
that
say.
was.
Just
Could
horse
have been
racing
Lincoln,
community.
too.
Yeah.
Could have been Lincoln.
Gus on the text line says, the glue was my grandma's house. I remember hearing my aunts and uncles. You'd think that they were arguing, but usually it's because they were laughing so loud.
Oh, yeah. I can, just like
laughter.
Shave said, I can see walking into Blanche and Carl's house right now through the breezeway, up the stairs. Very
breezeway.
Breezeway. Remember
The
that? The word, the breezeway.
breezeway, yeah.
They don't see those anymore. Hey, where's the
No.
breezeway at? No. And also extremely dangerous. You walked up and they had outdoor carpeting indoor in the breezeway. Remember the outdoor carpeting? And the steps you went up, and then there was no gate thing. And then if you made one bad step, you're going to tumble right down into the basement. There was just it was the apex. You came up, you had to turn left into the house, and then if not, you took one wrong step. Boom! You're going to go right down into the basement. But then you walked in, and they had a center island that had this orange formica type top, and that's just where. And I never made it to that. That's where the adults sat, and you stood. There would be 20 of us just standing around that with complete
couple
joy.
hours.
The levels
God,
of
yeah.
a family gathering where it's like, all right, the younger cousins
Yes.
are going to be over here, the older cousins are over there.
Yeah, there's
the men are out in the garage, or
Yeah,
if the football's
whatever.
on, they're sitting in the recliners watching TV. The women are over here in the kitchen. Some people are playing cards over there.
Where was your guys' kids' table? Because
We were subjected to the basement.
Okay,
Basically.
because we just put still to this day we just put a card table in the middle of the living room.
It's the same.
Yeah, it's kind of the same.
And
I
they just
was
sit-
in the middle of the
it's just-
living
that's
room.
where it is.
Remember the card table? It had like just pop it open and
Yep.
bink, bink, bink.
That's
bink,
all it
four
is.
Flip
This
it over
giant
again.
brown thing that's just a
sit
square,
down,
it's
just
just there it
square.
is.
And
And
where
there's
they
the
put
kids' table.
it could be
Yep.
anywhere.
That's the kids' table right there. And then when Grandpa got out to the recliner, you knew it was nap time. You got to get that picked up.
Yeah.
Right.
We had it was in like a hallway almost at Blanche and Carl's. It was a long table, and we just set it up, and you only had about this much room, but like 28 people sat at it. But it was just, and you couldn't even talk. I mean, it's like the other end like that. You had no idea what was going on. It was complete
Talk to the
mayhem.
person next to you.
And that's what, like Shay said, to go back to that one more time.
It'd be amazing.
There you go.
Better times.
There it is. Bill's Thrills.
It's still times though.
On a Thursday, Cool Parenting Tips Thursday, sponsored by Mid Plains Advisors. Contact Dirk,
Cash
Scott,
cows.
and Ty at Mid Plains Advisors to plan your financial future today.
Back to more of Bill's Thrills Rewrapped. Sponsored by Acres Equipment on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Bill, it's a football Friday. The floor is yours.
Appreciate that very much. There's a lot going on. So you want to hit on some stuff for us today. So it's Freaky Football Friday. Can you imagine a couple things? Do you remember when it went from the BCS to the 14 playoff?
Yeah.
Kind of. Was it a big deal?
Yeah.
I don't think it really was. I can't even recall who were the first four teams. So tell me that then.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
don't
That was a long time ago.
Ohio State and Oregon were part of
a
it.
long time ago, but it was the first Ohio State won it. But my point is, you'll remember forever this year. You'll remember 2024 when it went to 12. You will recall everything about it because it was so discussed like that. There were so many things. So we're going to go bullet points, Steve.
Yes. Yeah.
Bullet points for this weekend. First of all, 2 games Penn State, SMU, Clemson, Texas, and no one's really talking about Clemson, Texas. It's really weird. They don't even talk about it. Like the game's not happening. Two blue bloods. Not talking about it. But the games are on what? What station are they on?
TNT.
TNT. That's not normal. That's not normal. TNT is the first. It has two of the biggest games ever, and they're on TNT.
Could be worse.
I get TNT, so I'm not that taken back
That's
by
what I
it.
mean.
But
It could be on Paramount.
yeah, it could be. It could be something.
What's wrong with Paramount?
It was just like
Don't have it.
Unbelievable. And then the 4 campus games is going to make this thing historical. So if you go through a couple things, Friday night, a Friday night game
Tonight.
in South Bend. Think about this. The cheapest ticket is over $1,000.
Ooh.
The cheapest ticket is over $1,000 to get in because this is epic. I mean, and Notre Dame is national. They come in from everywhere. There's private jets whisking in from everywhere. Notre Dame, it's Rudy. Let's wake up the echoes. I mean, this is going to be
Is that right about the private jets?
Private
People
jets.
ripping him.
And then how about this one? Well, who are you playing? Indiana, same state. We're just driving up. We'll just meet you up there.
What a scene.
Let's
Less
go.
than 200 miles,
Less than
199
200
miles.
And who's leading them in? Signetti. Oh, God. There's so many things going on.
Kurt
Cheapest
Signetti.
ticket over $1,000. Penn State, SMU. Now, these tickets much cheaper. You can get in for $35.
Huh.
$35. True statement. That's what it was. $35 you can
Why
get in.
is that?
That's not a bad deal. That means you have
Why
access.
is that, by the way?
I'm not hard to get to. I don't know the difference, but it's kind of an odd situation.
Cold weather.
But just think about this, though. Their backup quarterback, who's really good, who came in and beat Wisconsin when their starter got hurt, he's gone. He's not there. I want you to think about first series, and Drew Aller rolls his ankle, and you go from 1 to 3 to your third quarterback.
That's a college football problem.
Can you imagine
Yeah,
that?
I don't blame the second string quarterback on that. He had to make a move.
No one's really blaming
they're
him.
not.
No, I will say,
Bear Pribula.
I will say,
I'm sorry?
Bear Pribula.
Thank you.
but and he's a really good player. He
Yes.
plays. He
Good.
plays in the game every game. He plays probably 10 to 12 snaps, so he plays. And he's out. Now, SMU's quarterback, who's also in the portal, he stayed. He goes, I'm in the portal, but I'm playing. So the whole thing just has some incredible intrigue with what's going on. Just imagine these campus games. Can you imagine a game tomorrow at Nebraska? And it's graduation. It's graduation tomorrow. Oh, by the way, we have a night game.
Oh,
we have a
jeez.
night game, and we have Tennessee coming in here.
Oh,
Can you imagine what that would be like? So
Ben wouldn't be yawning right now like he is now.
He wouldn't be on it. He wouldn't be.
Ben, please lock in.
Yeah, he would not be. And then this one, the last and final thing, hot. That Tennessee Ohio State game. Can you imagine?
I am trying
if
to.
Ohio State loses that game?
What happens then?
It would just be
What happens?
The mayhem. I honestly, I never called for
Swim, what happens for Ryan Day?
I don't think he survives.
I don't think he survives.
Even though the ADs come out and say we have, if it's 35-14 Tennessee, I don't know how that happens.
No, I don't think he can
Do I think
survive.
that's going to happen? I don't know, but like I said, it could happen. Tennessee's really good.
Lee's logic was interesting.
Sound.
Yeah, what he had, the numbers were ridiculous.
The potential for ugliness of that situation with all those Vols fans in the stadium.
Yes.
There's 30,000 fans there, and they win. The Vols win.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a chance. This is a classic chance of fights in the stands. This is a classic of like, how did this happen?
Yep.
And I mentioned
Totally agree.
that quick with Lee.
Fights in the stands.
For everybody to understand is, again, it's not run locally. It wouldn't. It's not that. That's not how it's run.
They don't control the tickets.
They control the tickets to
No,
the
they don't.
playoffs.
Yeah, the playoffs
The
do,
playoffs control them. So
Yeah.
but that game is so intriguing, and it just feels like they're not over the hangover. Maybe it's just me.
No, it doesn't.
It just,
It
it
doesn't.
just feels
You're
like
right.
Ohio State is not over this hangover.
Bill, think about that scene. First of all, you coached at Ohio State, and you've played against Ohio State. There's going to be all that orange in there.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird.
It's going to be really weird. And then, I guess, and then no one even talks about Texas, and Clemson. It's like the game's not even being played.
Why is that?
I don't know.
And also the narratives around Quinn Ewers right now.
What's that?
They're like, he's gone.
They're talking about him, that his draft grade is not high enough right now to go to the NFL. So they're saying you need to enter the portal. There's draft experts like from ESPN and NFL Network saying your best bet is to go in the portal because there's no way Arch Manning's not the quarterback at Texas next year.
Is that right?
Well, I don't think there's any. With two things, I don't think that Arch Manning is going to sit again and be like, okay, no, I don't think that's going to happen. That's year 3. He's done the right thing. He's handled everything very well. Can you imagine? Think about this one. What if Texas wins it all, and then they send their quarterback into the portal because we have another one? Can you imagine? I want you to think about this thing.
Weird.
And here's the last thing that now this isn't about this weekend, but it's hardly being discussed. It's like, because last year what happened when Florida State lost their quarterback?
It went to hell.
Went to hell. How about Georgia probably not having their quarterback? So whoever gets that game, did you see Georgia try to run an offense when they didn't have their quarterback?
How'd that look?
It looked horrible. It looked horrible. And so my point is like that. It's like, so right now, do you look at can Georgia win it all with a backup quarterback? I don't see how, because they lost to Georgia Tech, had them beat, and Texas had them on. They shouldn't have lost to Texas either. And now they're starting quarterbacks out. So right now, it's a free for all. I mean, there's a lot of teams. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, because that injury is a big injury, and I still didn't know if Georgia could win it all, even when he was healthy. To say, "Oh yeah, they're going to win it all."
And there's been a big narrative that Clemson's not a quality football team this year. They've played some really good football, especially down the stretch here.
And Clemson can beat Texas.
Cade Klubnik is a very good quarterback that doesn't get talked about.
They
very
talked
often.
about talking about Texas. Their best win is 6-6 Vanderbilt. So it's like, who'd you beat? They have that's their best win. 6-6
Is
Vanderbilt.
Ewers not an NFL quarterback right now?
He hasn't played. Didn't play.
Quinn Ewers.
He's been banged up this
He's
year.
been a little banged up. He's not played. Where you go, oh yeah, absolutely, because he should have easily won when they lost their quarterback the last play of the half. Texas should win that game. Texas should win that game versus the backup, and they couldn't do it. And so they're
it's wide open. But are you saying Oregon is the team here?
I would still probably lean that way, but then you push back and go, well, they played Penn State and they gave up 37 points. I think that Penn State rushed for almost 300 yards against them in nice weather. Now they had to travel 3 time zones. That makes it hard. So I don't know. It's going to get interesting.
In the dome. Yeah, it was in the
But
dome.
here's what I hope. I just hope that when we come in on Monday, I just hope it's not like Texas won easily, Notre Dame won easily, Penn State won easily. I hope it's mayhem. I
don't think there'll be easy wins.
I don't. Could you imagine all of a sudden it's like Indiana's off to the next round?
Oh.
Imagine that conversation. What would be going on? I mean, just to think of the things. What if Clemson beats Texas?
I heard Clay Travis say, just to see if you agree with this, that Indiana's the worst team in the field. Are they the worst team in the field?
No.
I would not say so.
And the weird part, like I told you, the 9 seed is the 3 seed. That's really odd. If Indiana was playing Boise on a neutral, I'm taking Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm taking Indiana in that game. And I would take them in a lot. I mean, they had the one. If you go back, that game's going to be a tie score or 14-7.
Which game?
Against Ohio State. They dropped the punt. They just dropped the ball. They had everything. I'm like, okay, get a good punt off here. It's going to go in very much in control. I don't think Ohio State's going to lose that game. It's going to be a really good game. But then the wheels kind of fell off. You saw them live. When you watched them against Nebraska, what did you think of them?
They were hitting on all cylinders. They looked good. There's a lot to like about
Remember,
them.
Michigan just beat Ohio State. They handled Michigan.
Indiana?
Yeah,
close game.
The game ended at the 2-yard line. They took a knee. It was a close game. I agree with that, but they beat them.
I thought that was the game, Bill. I like Indiana, but that was the game where Curtis Rourke didn't look as confident to me. He missed throws in that game.
No one does against Michigan. They have all these first-rounders in the front.
Yeah. And they're pretty good in the back.
Ohio State has arguably the best talent and they just in Michigan beat them up. They had 10 points.
And then Rourke didn't look that good against Ohio State. So I don't know. It looked like he stepped back in confidence to me. Now Nebraska, he looked like Elway. I mean, he was just gunning. He was ripping throws. It was a beautiful day to throw that day, and he was ripping.
Which team for you guys are you most intrigued to just see?
Tennessee, Ohio State.
Which singular team? Because I would
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
I want to see what Ohio State looks like. Yeah.
In the entire playoff, if we looked at the entire field, because I actually lean towards Arizona State.
Yeah, but they're fun to be able to see. Yeah.
And the reason why is because they came out of nowhere. They were picked to finish second to last in the Big 12 conference. They're in second year of a head coach, and obviously Indiana has a similar narrative with Kurt Cignetti, a redshirt freshman quarterback in Sam Levitt, and a running back that came from Sacramento State. Like, I think the fact that they're here and they got a bye is a really fascinating story.
It is.
But yes,
So those artificial seeds are kind of odd to me. That's got to be changed, in my opinion. But I'm with
same
Bill.
thing. Where is Arizona State seated?
They're fourth.
No. Where are they seated? Before they got placed into the bye.
Oh, yes.
Just like Boise. They're
They're
not
on the outside.
They're like 10th or 11th. So that's my point of
Odd
that.
seeds.
I talked about the Boise one. That's another one that's very odd that they're going to
Artificial.
Things went very well for them in that spot. That's not again. Is there a model? The NCAA basketball tournament, like that. It doesn't matter what happens. You get seeded for what you did. It's
For
still
what you did.
If you win the tournament, it gets you in. It guarantees you a spot. That's all that should have happened with this one. You are in.
Then seeded.
Boise, you're in. Yeah,
Then
you made it, man. You're in. But to get a bye to be a 3 seed, come on.
So Ohio State we're interested in because of
I mean, right now, if you what would the numbers be right now? Tennessee, Boise, or Ohio State, Boise. I think it's 13 points, right? 13 in a hook. That's what the points would be like that, and they're 8 and 9.
Okay.
So that's my point of like I don't think the path,
I see what you're saying.
The path that some teams have to go down because of the crazy seeding with that, and the crazy seeding for Arizona State also.
Absolutely. I think if you're Penn State or SMU guys, you're looking there saying if we get past this weekend,
Penn State's
they got the best
out of the
spot.
top 4, you're in the best shape.
because Penn State would play Boise State.
Also-
they have a good
or
path.
even SMU as an 11, a quote unquote 11 seed.
Yeah, they'd have a good
Instead of
path.
having to go to play Oregon,
Yeah.
they get to or Georgia technically, then they would have to go play Boise State.
So there's
that's who they get.
nothing's going to happen with firing with Penn State. But if SMU beats Penn State,
Then what?
it'll be ugly.
For Franklin?
It'll be ugly. He's not losing his job because he has like a 9-year contract. But my point is, it would at home if they somehow pulled that off.
SMU.
Just remember, Feinbaum said like that was that if Ohio State loses, that Ryan Day should be fired on the field. They say he should be fired. Should not get to the locker room. Should not get to the locker room. And it'll be really tough. It will be worth watching just what that vibe is. And this is a chance to show that you're one of the best coaches in the country to get your team back.
To get your team
Team
back.
back.
But even if he gets his team back, that matchup that Lee even if he gets his team back, that matchup that Lee pointed out, Tennessee's defensive front versus struggling Ohio State offensive line. Yeah. All the coaching in the world doesn't solve
change
that.
it. Doesn't change
Right.
that they showed him. It was at the College Football Hall of Fame banquet I was at last weekend, and they had the center for Ohio State. He's on crutches. Yeah, he's on crutches. He hasn't blown Achilles. That's when you play against SEC front and you don't have your ace center, the one that transferred from Alabama. That's a lot. I mean, they only rushed for 70 yards against Michigan.
And I'll bet
which is-
Swim.
which
10 points.
Which is they have 2 of the best running backs in the entire
And
country.
that day, that weather, it's really nice. It's a nice day.
I bet if you watched warm-ups of Tennessee and just said, I'm going to watch their defensive players, their defenders, their bigs, you'd go, oh, God. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Now, I guarantee if you look at Tennessee, you'll be, oh, boy.
Yeah, you'll look at it and go, oh, wow, that's something.
That's SEC. That's SEC football right there.
Yeah.
Ohio State's in trouble. They're in trouble.
And obviously Tennessee. Sorry, go ahead, Bill.
How nervous is Sankey? Because Ohio State can easily beat Tennessee. They can.
They can.
Georgia's lost their starting quarterback.
He's nervous.
I mean, just think about that. And,
Yeah, he's nervous.
And their other team is
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
And right now, you really don't think Texas can win at all, do you?
No.
They
Could they haven't
they?
really beaten anybody.
Yeah, but their best wins Vanderbilt. They haven't beat anybody, and they couldn't beat Georgia with their backup quarterbacks.
Their offense is
And
what
so
you wonder
they'll
about.
probably be without Isaiah Bond as well. There's a good chance they're out without Isaiah Bond this weekend.
Yeah,
the wide receiver.
He is. He's out. They said it last night. Could you imagine if the SEC was out after this weekend? Imagine if they were out. Could you imagine that conversation?
Yeah,
that would be a bizarre one forever. So college football,
or if essentially if Georgia is the one team that's left without a starting quarterback.
Yeah, Georgia can't be out.
Yeah, but yes, exactly.
You're sitting there going like, okay, how's this all going down? And all of a sudden if you get to the Final Four, and there's no SEC team.
Oh,
That would be one of those that would be like, oh whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah.
That would be
that's
a bizarre
possibility.
Yeah, most likely won't because it's just somehow they just won't happen. But there's a chance.
A lot of people on the text line just talking about excitement. Like I think everybody's just excited to see what a 12-team
There's a game
playoff
tonight. There's
looks
Indiana
A big
Notre
one.
Dame.
A big
Notre
one.
Dame,
on
Indiana.
a Friday night.
A big one. And what did you see?
Yeah.
What's the video you showed me?
Oh, there's cars backed up on the interstate trying to get into South Bend for the game. Snowing.
It's at 7 a.m.
It's
And also,
snowing.
the other part about that, which is very
That's incredible.
intriguing for that night game. Now, they're used to this because they have big crowds. You ever been to South Bend? There's not a bunch of hotels. There's not a bunch of locations around. I mean, it's not like,
You stay in Chicago.
Yeah, it's a lot. So there'll be people departing that game tonight. There'll be people on the interstate not moving at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
There will be at 2 a.m. And if there's snow, there'll be people sleeping in their cars tonight. That'll happen.
After paying $1,500 for a ticket.
Again. And you know what they're saying, the fans? Money well spent. It's like this may never happen again. Whatever. We're playing the first playoff game at home
Against Indiana.
and the talk about where they got it right. The college football committee home games.
Yep. 100.
If these four were all off site, we'd be like, they're cool, but whatever. Now it's like, oh wow,
All right.
oh
It
wow.
would make an Indiana resume even more impressive. I mean, if
beat Notre Dame?
win tonight at Notre Dame,
Yeah, a little bit more impressive.
It's also there's contradicting styles because Indiana's rush defense allows
Second in
less
the
than,
country.
allows less than like 2.8 per carry. Notre Dame, one of the best rush offenses, averages like 6.9 per carry.
I'm not sure who's playing better. Notre Dame can win it all.
Yeah.
And they've had injuries. They've been, but I mean, you don't want to play Notre Dame.
Jeremiah
That's a team.
Love in the back.